On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are discussing Strange New Worlds 101, Strange New Worlds, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on the continuing Star Trek conversation that two lifelong friends have been having since they were 6 years old. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I'm David C. Robertson.
Good morning, Dave. It's a strange day, isn't it?
It is a little bit, yeah. It's all I have these days, man.
All I have are strange days. Yeah, we got Strange New Worlds we're about to talk about, which I was very excited about, and I was not disappointed. It just a quick are you feeling good? Did you like it?
I wasn't disappointed, but I did not like it, no.
Interesting. Okay. I loved it. Thought it was great. I'm sure we'll get into all the whys, but also we have Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness coming out today. So I'm just like, yeah, today is a day, man. Today's going to be a day.
I've been ardently and completely almost spoiled on Multiverse of Madness.
Oh,
so
well, that's no good. I have not. I've very much stayed away from all of the spoilers. A couple little things I've gotten spoiled on, but for the most part, I think I'm pretty spoiler free.
I didn't think about it and went to Twitter, and there were pictures.
Well, that won't necessarily spoil everything. There's a few things I think that are getting around that are big reveals, but I think the story is still going to be interesting.
Maybe.
I still, and don't tell me if you know, but I still to this day don't know who the good guy and who the bad guy is. Just looking at, I've seen a few trailers. I kind of know some things are going to happen, but I still to this day don't know who's going to be the protagonist and the antagonist. Which version of which characters. I'm excited, man.
To me, the funniest thing that I keep seeing are critics being mad that it feels more like a Sam Raimi movie than an MCU movie, and I'm like, that's making me so excited.
Yeah, that makes me so much more excited. A buddy of mine texted me, he's like, yeah, I'm hearing major Raimi vibes in this new Marvel movie, and I was like, well, yeah, it's Raimi, but don't tell me anything else, please. It's let's not talk about this anymore till tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right, man, let's get into Strange New Worlds.
Sure.
Just since I always love to say the positives first. I have no negatives. I loved it. I thought it was wonderful.
Really?
Yeah, I loved it. I think it's great. I love the interactions between the crew. I love Pike. I love the weight it gives his character, the fact that he knows his own death and sort of him questioning himself. It's fascinating. I loved the single story episodic nature of this one, but with clear aims at making really interesting overarching character choices. I enjoyed every character. They all had cool backstories and cool things to know about them, but I'm sure there's it's playing very much with canon, and I'm sure there's some annoying things in there for you specifically. But I'm interested to see what you dislike so much. But I gotta say, I freaking loved it. That last week, I cried. I actually cried during his speech to the alien world. He said, "Life is to be worn gloriously. Right until the end, life is what we make it." Mm-hmm. I love it.
Cool, man. I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, and I liked all the. One of the things. I mean, I could go on. I could go on for whatever.
Yeah, go on.
And I'm going on because I know that you're not feeling it. So I want to throw. We always like to do a few positives up top, but I loved the sort of comparison to him and Kirk. He talks about and this is from books, I think, more than the movies. No, I guess this is kind of from the movies too. He talks about how Kirk always said he'd cheat death. Well, he doesn't say that. He says all humans think they'll cheat death up until the end. And it's he knows he won't. And that's that in itself, that knowledge is so foundational to what humanity is. This sort of hopefulness that we all have for the future. This no matter how many days I wake up and eat poorly, I always think this year will be the year, like I'm gonna like get things that we always have this hopefulness for our futures,
I don't. I didn't relate to that at all. I was like, no, I don't think I'm going to cheat anything. Like, I'm probably having a heart attack right now.
My left arm, it always hurts.
It does because of my back. I just never know. Like, if I just stop, living.
Is this the one? Is this the one? Gloria, what's her name in freaking Sanford and Son? That he always
Elizabeth.
Elizabeth. I'm coming, Elizabeth.
Pretty much. That's like probably the source of most of my panic attacks and anxiety. Is just like I always think I'm about to die.
By the way, what is Peg Bundy's maiden name?
Wanker.
Dang, I needed to do the other day. We had a category in trivia. We were at bar trivia, and I knew you'd know the answer. We were at bar trivia, and the category was TV moms, and I knew every freaking question in TV moms. We got everyone right, like 15 questions in a row. The only team that did that well. And then they had a wager question, and we wagered a bunch of points because we knew it was a TV moms question. We got everyone right. And then the category was Peg Bundy, which I watched a lot of that show. And so we wagered like everything, and then it was what is her maiden name, and I was like, I have no idea.
Oh,
I didn't know it. I was like, Dave. There were a few questions I was like, Dave would know this.
Yeah, I did.
Anyway, but I really liked the dichotomy of Kirk. They didn't mention Kirk obviously because there was no reason to, and I'm glad they didn't. But the idea that all humans think they'll cheat death right up until the end, and he knows that he won't, and that gives him a different perspective. And I love the idea of like, will it make me more hesitant? Will it make me more cautious? Not cautious enough? Like all these, I loved it. I thought it was great. What'd you think, man?
Well, first of all, I hope they don't continue the trend of just like him looking into every reflective surface throughout every episode, just like, no.
Yeah, I thought about that. I don't think that will be the case. You got to think about this too from the perspective of people who've never seen it before.
Yeah,
that was a mystery. You know what I mean? Even people who know the Pike character.
Yeah,
if they didn't see Discovery, were watching this going like, why is he seeing? What was the thing? Because they kept mentioning like the thing that happened on the last voyage or whatever. And so for people like that was a mystery thing. It was like, why? Yeah. What is that thing? So I kind of got to look at it from their perspective. I think that was kind of a cool effect.
Right. Yeah. It's fine for one episode. I just hope they don't keep doing it.
I agree. I don't think they will. I think they will from time to time when it's on his mind, but I don't think they will do it 15 times an episode like they did today.
Yeah. That felt a little 2011 Green Lantern to me, where they kept cutting back to like his dad's plane exploding. He's like, no. Yeah, I don't know, man. First of all, the first episode is called Strange New Worlds, and they visit basically an Earth parallel.
That's true. That's a fair point.
That's not strange at all. And the whole thing is predicated upon them succeeding on their mission or whatever is predicated on the idea that like they are very much like us. So it's not really a Strange New World at all. Yeah. And I it was a fine speech, felt very much like one of those CW Supergirl Hope speeches that saves the day. And it was wrapped up incredibly simplistically. It was very heavy-handed. I didn't buy really anything about this society. I didn't buy that they saw, a warp tunnel from, 1,000 light years away and then reverse engineered antimatter and figured out how to make a warp bomb, which, by the way, what the hell is a warp bomb? No explanation. I don't know. It was sloppy and went along quickly. None of the characters who are characters from the original series, they are those characters in name only. They don't act like them. They don't seem like them.
Oh, I thought Uhura was great. Multiple moments Uhura seemed very much like Uhura to me.
She was fine until, she squeaks out a cool after he says the Strange New Worlds bit again at the end of the episode to his crew, which was lame and just really cheesy. Like, I just didn't dig it, man. I just didn't like it. I thought it was real lame, real self-referencing, real cheesy. I didn't like the Noonian girl, the Khan girl. I don't know if her dad is Khan or what. Who knows? Because, Pike mentioned the Second Civil War, then the eugenics wars, and this is all after the 21st century. So official retcon of the eugenics wars now.
It kind of. He says that it began with this kind of war, then it moved into that kind of war, and then we started calling it World War III. So you could imagine like someone using those three wars interchangeably, in which case you can kind of you could kind of make it work.
I have given up this Ghost. This is a retcon. This is a new continuity. It is not my Star Trek. It has nothing to do with my Star Trek. This is its own thing, and they're just lying to us at this point. They have no interest in pursuing anything that they were doing before, because it doesn't feel like Star Trek. And a bunch of people are like, it's the hope and the optimism and all the... Ugh. Dude, Star Trek was not hope and optimism. I'm sorry. It just wasn't. Like, it had it there, but, like, there was incredibly dark shit involved. There was, like...
There's some pretty incredibly dark shit here, too, though.
Yes, but, like... This is, like, CW bullshit. This is CW hope and optimism. It's not, like... There's no, like, real feeling of accomplishment here. It's a speech and... Like, oh, let's name drop
it's not just a speech.
Sam Kirk.
It's not just a speech. He literally shows them the destruction of the Earth. I mean, like, he shows them their future in response to his character having seen his future and knowing how it's impacting him. He shows them, this is the similarities. This is the hopeful future you could have. That's a beautiful thing. I don't think it's speechy at all.
These people don't have movies. They couldn't have seen this on a movie.
Sure, but there's a difference. There's a difference between the movie and a real destruction of a thing.
Well, what Pike showed them had to be a movie. I doubt they had cameras just floating around all over the place while World War...
I don't doubt that at all. That looked exactly like it could have been.
They had just, like, video cameras flying around watching the Earth blow up?
You don't think we have all those... We'd get that kind of footage now if the Earth blew up?
No.
Cell phones would be everywhere. Yes.
Not that kind of footage.
Okay, fine.
Not that kind of footage.
Fine. No. But I do. I've seen CCTV of, like, all kinds of destructive stuff that we've seen since 9/11 to that explosion that you see all the footage of that explosion that happened just like I forget where it was, but there was some sort of industrial explosion in like another country that I'm spacing on. It was like the biggest industrial explosion. There were tons of beautiful camera shots of that, both from cell phones and then you imagine CCTVs everywhere. Like surely there wouldn't have been but if you imagine like 50 years from now, you go forward and cameras get better, and just like the footage that we saw today of that industrial explosion that I'm spacing on the place would have looked like a movie to someone in the 50s. It would have looked amazing. Cameras will improve. 50 years from now, it's totally plausible that there'd be good satellite photography or good, whatever photography.
All right. Well, whatever.
There's just a difference. And there's a difference between telling a world like this happened. And it's also the nature of the world seeing an alien for the first time. And like, I mean, it's a bad thing that he did in a big way. He there's definitely a question. You can question this decision. And I do, but, in Star Trek, what is it? Star Trek is it Into Darkness, where you see that group that starts to worship the Enterprise?
Yeah.
That kind of happened here, but they treated it like a good thing.
I guess I didn't really buy that, like, a centuries-long war, that these parties would be convinced by, like, footage of, like, here's what could possibly happen, as if they've never seen projections or, known anything about what possibly could happen.
Right.
You'd have to imagine that there was some sort of progressive or liberal party on this planet going, war is bad.
Right. Well, there clearly were. There were people with posters and shit.
Yeah.
So those were those damn hippies if I've ever seen them.
Absolutely.
I don't think it was just the destruction video. It's the fact that like you're also hearing it from a godlike alien who came down from space and said, "Look at my big stick," and then
right, his captain's log, if you will.
Yeah. So he's showing godlike power, and then offering them, here's your two options of futures. You have, here's the utopia. You could join us right now and be a part of our federation, which the Federation probably won't like at all, which they didn't, but whatever. Or here's the destruction you could reap, and then eventually get to this utopia, maybe if you don't destroy yourselves.
Which, if you're not paying attention, if you don't know the material, he was watching The Day the Earth Stood Still. He has basically become the alien from The Day the Earth Stood Still. Alien comes to Earth in that movie, which, by the way, was directed by Robert Wise, who directed Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, so Day the Earth Stood Still, alien comes to Earth, everything stops. Like, he shuts off all the power and shit.
Yeah.
And basically stands before the world and says, you guys are going to kill yourselves. Stop, or we'll stop it for you, basically.
Yeah.
So he gets to do the same thing. So that's, that's nice.
That's a really, really great observation. Like, really great observation. I'd not thought about that. But he literally watches that movie and says, it's a classic. You're watching this again. It's like a movie that he loves. And in this episode, he gets to become his favorite character he gets to become the character that is the alien. That's beautiful. I love that.
Yeah.
This movie is kind of The Day the Earth Stood Still from the perspective of the alien. That's awesome. Yeah. That makes me like it more.
Yeah, I know, and I kind of hate that. That was not my point.
I was not trying to give you a thing to like more.
No, you know what? I want to like it. I want to like Star Trek, and that was one of the things I liked about this episode.
Nice.
Like,
Yeah, I didn't catch that at all. I'd seen The Day the Earth Stood Still, but it's been so many years I didn't even make that connection. But it makes total sense. Especially, I like the way they started this episode with them in the walking through the halls of the military base, and you think they're on Earth or think they're on some form of like Space Command or something, and then they walk in and they see, the Archer or whatever, and it's like, what's happening?
That wasn't surprising to me. Like, I was like, oh, they're taking such great pains not to show their face. It's going to be an alien species.
I was like watching for like, because also I think part of it was I was looking for how they were going to handle the technology on this show, which I figured it was going to be Discovery like, but then when I saw them like walk into this big bay of like a sort of older technology, I was like, oh, are they going to do some of the older technology stuff? And then they didn't. But like, I thought maybe they are going to go a little more original series with some of the tech. And then because that the base she's walking into was about that like level of technology. So I was like, well, Dave will be disappointed. That's not what's happening here.
Why would I be disappointed?
Oh, when they're walking into that little base.
Yeah,
I was thinking maybe they'd be using toggle switches and stuff because that base was older technology.
Yeah, no,
looking kind of like those big computer bays and stuff. I was like, maybe they're doing something like that.
I am not disappointed because I had no expectation that they were going to do anything like that. You know what I mean?
I know.
They've made it abundantly clear.
That's not what they're going for.
It's fine. As my house burns down around me, the dog at the table, it's fine. Everything you love is up in flames, Tim.
Oh.
The Vulcans are a big thing. Like, I feel like we haven't really... Star Trek has never done Vulcans well since the original series movies. Like, after the original series movies, like... They have drained it of the mysticism. They've drained it of the stoicism. It's just now become like people talking like this all the time.
Yeah, just a little,
and it's just, before, you had like Mark Leonard, you had even the original T'Pring on the original series. Like, everyone had it like, yes, we have emotions, but we're playing it like, we're very subdued. And I don't know, like this whole thing where it's like I don't know, there's this like this was, I hate to keep saying it, but this was like CW Vulcan, where they're like half naked and getting down, and T'Pring is talking like she's on a freaking, like, on Riverdale or something. Like,
I like
saying query before you say a thing. That's
she was making
sassy
fun of him.
Is the
that worked for me. I don't know, man.
It didn't work for me.
I'm not saying it was perfect, but like, yeah, all the things you're complaining about, it just didn't hit me that way. Yeah, obviously. I liked the Vulcans. I thought this was played pretty well. Vulcans are tricky, man, because obviously, the whole idea of having a Vulcan as like a protagonist, a character that you're supposed to be rooting for, but the idea is that he's purging all emotion. So it's like this. It's a tricky thing to do well, and I think they even struggle with it in the original series and stuff. Like, it's not always perfectly done. But yeah, I think it's the Vulcans. I think when they're at their best are when they clearly have emotions about things. It's just a matter of them not wanting to express them for fear of how they'll act. So they try to act a certain way that is emotionless. Yeah. But I miss Spock, because like Spock, the original Spock felt like there's a difference between a Vulcan who like is emotionless in like outward ways, and then there's Vulcans who are really trying at their core to purge their emotions. And I think I always felt like Spock was actually like a true believer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, I think he was trying harder. He was a little extra because he had that human side, and
exactly.
He'd always been told that he was not enough.
Exactly. I agree. And I think that's all part of what you're talking about that makes Spock interesting. And I do think that here, I think we just haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen, and I think T'Pring reminded me a lot of the T'Pring of the original series. Clearly having her own desires and things she didn't like about what was going on. It's hard for me. Like the lack of emotions thing is hard, because like the idea of wanting something to me is kind of an emotional idea. Yeah. Like, if you have a desire in itself is an emotion. Like her wanting to marry him. Isn't that kind of inherently an emotional act?
I was under the impression that they were, basically betrothed since childhood. Like, it was like an Indian thing, like where it was an arranged marriage, and then, the whole reason that she had him fight Kirk was because she wanted Stan in Amok Time.
Yeah,
she didn't want Spock.
Right. I don't remember exactly what they say about the betrothal. I just know they were betrothed, and she sort of manipulates the situation in this very like,
a betrothal becomes a betrayal on the next episode of Star Trek the original series.
But I like that setup that they established there, that like she wants to be with Spock, but like she wants to be with Spock. She doesn't just want him always to be gallivanting around the galaxy, as she said. He's like, gallivanting?
Yeah. So, I didn't enjoy it. I'm sorry. I know that
you didn't enjoy it.
A lot of the, I'm sure that there are some, well, maybe not after the last couple episodes, or last couple reviews for Picard. The toxic positivity crowd is probably gone at this point. But yeah, oh well.
No, yeah, I hear you, man. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it, because I think I did, and I'm sorry you can't experience that, because I just like when you like your stuff you like.
I think I would enjoy it more if they would just tell us that it's a reboot. You know what I mean? Like, I wish they would just stop lying to us.
I just don't care enough about those smaller changes. Like, if the war was different. Like, I would rather take one. See, and I guess this is how our brains are a little different. I would rather excise the 1999 from the original, eugenics war conversation and be like, oh, that little thing was wrong, or that little thing, like, they're throwing out literally one number from the original series.
It's lots of things, like, look, I like the dude playing Robert April. I think he's great. He plays Uncle Phil in the new Bel Air show. Fantastic actor. Great. In the animated series, old white guy.
Right.
That was the character. Like,
yeah,
they
apparently
changed it.
he's also been in one episode of Star Trek. They used Roddenberry.
Mm-hmm. Well, it wasn't. He's never actually shown up. That was kind of a joke, but it wasn't real in canon.
It wasn't in canon. I just saw that it was either on a game or something. They used a picture of Roddenberry somewhere.
But it's just like all sorts of things, like, you know, the way the ships look different, the way the costumes look different. Like,
right.
There are tons of stuff that you just kind of go, temporal war, if you really want to make it work. But sure. I feel like they just lie to us. They just say, "Oh yeah, it's canon. It's everything it fits." No, it doesn't. Nothing fits.
Right.
It's like you're actively changing dates and aesthetics and transporter technology.
Technically, with the dates, they tried to make it work with the idea that, like, at some point there's a civil war that leads to a eugenics war that leads to right. And those three things can always talk about. Like, I think this was an interesting way to try to make it work.
Yeah, see, I hate making it work because it just means that I hate this idea that, like, Star Trek is our future. No, it's not our future. It's never been our future. Like, every couple of years you have to change it and say, this is canon now. And I know, like, now you're not supposed to say canon. Like, we're not, as Star Trek fans, we're not supposed to say canon. People get mad at you for saying canon.
I don't fucking care what people say. Who cares what they say?
Why are we here talking then? Like, who cares what you say? Who cares what I say?
I mean, I care what you say.
Why? I'm just a person. Yeah. And I'm not even a particularly interesting or good one.
You don't have to be to have something, have an opinion.
Yeah.
I care because I'm your friend. The fact that you care about things that are totally different than I care about is interesting to me.
Well, I think the reason that those things matter to me is because it's like, if they're not going by what has been established, and I get that there are errors, as happens, when you have a 60-year-old franchise.
Yeah, errors happen.
I get that, but, they're just throwing shit aside. Right. And, it's just like, I have not seen the last episode of Picard, but, people are like saying stuff like, well, I hope Elnor lives. They better bring him back. And I'm like, I don't. I need stakes. To me, if you're throwing out pieces of canon you just don't like, there are no stakes. There's no point to, if I can't trust what I've already seen on the screen, what the hell do I care? And it pisses me off just as much when they, whoever that higher up was on DS9 who said, what's all that bullshit on her face? Well, that's what a shrill looks like. No, put her in the spots Famke had. That's a completely different alien, but who cares? Like, I don't like that shit.
I don't either, but a lot of the little visual stuff like that, I can just get over pretty easily. I don't like it. I would rather them make the decision to keep with canon, but I can be okay with it.
I think more than the changes itself, the thing that bothers me is the willingness to disregard what they don't like. It's like they don't give a shit. Really. And then they throw all these little Easter eggs. Like
what?
I mean, they're like, well, we're going to, change the look of the bridge. We're going to change the look of the ship. We're going to change the costumes. We're going to change the characters. Nurse Chapel never acted like that. There's just, I just feel like they just change and change. Everybody,
they're a lot younger, I think, is the idea.
They're not that much younger.
Like 15 years younger. There's a big difference between a 20-year-old and a 35-year-old. Like, a 20-year-old saying cool is like one thing. If a 35-year-old says cool, they're childish, like me.
I don't know. I don't know.
There's just a lot of things you're saying are like, I don't see you, and I understand it's partially because, like, we have different things that bother us. Like, the visual stuff with the ships doesn't bother me at all. I feel like it could be retrofitted, whatever. Like, it can fit later. Like 15 years is enough time. I understand, like, the struts are in a little different place. I can totally imagine a line in the last episode where Pike says, we've been having a little trouble with the da-da-da. Let's move the struts a little further forward.
I hope they don't do that, because that is dumb. Just call it a reimagining. It is what it is. That's a reimagining. They're not. I hate that they lie to us to try to get us to watch it. And then like, and here's things you've never seen before. Like, doesn't this look familiar? No, it doesn't. None of this is familiar to me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
You can call the guy Transporter Chief Kyle all you want. He's not Transporter Chief Kyle. He's not, you know, you didn't even try to make him like Transporter Chief Kyle. I don't know. It just bugs me. It just bugs me. It's just the thing with Star Trek. They don't give a shit. Well, whoever's making it at the time doesn't give a shit.
They don't give a shit about certain things. And unfortunately for the two of us, those things are things that you particularly care about, and some of them I don't at all.
Well, I also care about, you know, things not being simplistic, boring, and overdramatic and heavy-handed. And
yeah.
They failed that one, too.
I agree there were certain heavy-handed moments, but I think that some of it you were primed to dislike because you're feeling all the other feelings.
Oh, no. I mean, I've had this since, Discovery? Like, since my meltdown over Picard seeing the Discovery Enterprise in, like, episode 2 of Picard last year. Like, I, you know, got over the thing, like, temporal war, whatever. I can retcon it in my head, make it make sense. Just like I can here. My main issue with this episode was that it was bad. I just didn't like it. But at the same time, I'm also like, because it's been on my mind a lot, because the internet melted down because the black guy is freaking Bob April, which I don't even mind. I'm just like, it's been on my mind because I'm like, guys, Paramount, Kurtzman, just do us a favor. Stop saying it's canon, because it's not. It's a different universe or something. It's a reimagining. Just say it. Then no one will say anything about it. Everybody like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do. I understand their desire to keep it canon, or some version of canon. I do think that something like the 2009 version of Changes would have been fine. I think people still would have watched. But more than anything, it's the prequel problem. I mean, like it's a problem every time. It never works fully. Fortunately for me, I don't care about some of the visual stuff. So like some of the prequel stuff, some of the like updates and the way the ship looks stuff just doesn't bother me. I'm fine with it.
See, I would be way more interested in a prequel if they were sticking to the old style, just because I'm like, I want to see someone really attempt that in the modern day, but with like modern filming. You know how like Star Trek Continues and those like fan productions, they like mimicked the old style of shooting and the old style of pacing. No, I don't want to do that. I want to have like modern pacing, but with like the old, like I just want to see it. You know, it's like Battlestar Galactica. You know how they had like a really dumbed down technology because they had to like basically rip out their entire tech infrastructure because of the Cylons hacking it.
Right.
Whatever. It's fine.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you didn't enjoy it.
Whatever. It has, let's be honest, it hasn't been my Star Trek for over 25 years.
Right.
So, I mean, since DS9 ended. Because I don't count Voyager as my Star Trek.
Oh, I love Enterprise. And parts of Voyager.
Yeah, I forgot about Enterprise. Which it might be the most damning thing I could have said about it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I really do like episodes of season 4.
Oh, yeah, they're great. There's elements of all the Star Treks I like.
Yeah, sure, me too.
And the whole hanging on to canon versus hanging on to, like, whether it's in an alternate, whatever you have to do in your head to make it work. That's like, you know, whatever. Like that's always going to be a struggle, I think, as long as they're doing prequels. So it may just be a thing you're just never going to like a prequel.
It's funny to me that they're like, let's send Discovery to the future to get away from canon, and now we'll make another prequel.
I know. It's the dumbest
It doesn't
shit.
make any sense.
It's so
It
dumb.
doesn't make. It's so stupid.
I agree. I also the only reason it works for me, and the only reason like I'm here for it, is when watching Discovery season 2, or was it 2? Yeah, 2. I just really love Pike. as a character, and I like where he is. I like what's going on with him. I really enjoyed what they did with him this episode. Even the little bit he was in season 2. I mean, he was in it a lot, but the little bit we got of him there, like, I really think he's one of the best captains. I really like him as a captain. And so I'm ready to explore that. So I guess I'm just like kind of forsaking whatever. Like, I didn't even pay attention to the canon stuff this episode. There were certain little things that I was like, oh, that's how they get, like the war thing where they're like, oh, they're trying to explain it that way. Okay, fine. Like you could even make it work with our time today, because it's like they said it was a civil war that became the eugenics war that became the. So then, like, when did the Civil War start? Oh, maybe the whatever. Like.
Yeah, maybe sanctuary districts and all that.
Right. From Picard, or even like, talk about it being all the way back to 1999. Like, they could talk about the division between the, like, if they want to make it work with our timeline, they could be like, the division between the parties really started to get worse in the 90s. And then it started to say, it's nice. It's a nice little, like, that works. So that worked for me. Other than that, like, all the other stuff, I honestly, I've never seen the Robert April thing was part of the animated series, correct?
Yeah.
Maybe they shaded the cells wrong, like, whatever. I don't.
No, yeah, like with the tribbles, yeah. I mean, that's fine. I don't care. I just want them to admit it's not the same universe at this point, because they just have done nothing to make it seem like it is. Yeah. Like, they could throw all the little Easter egg references at me they want, but it's at a certain point, it's just like, no, I would like to know more about the eugenics wars and how that worked. Like, I want to know more about, X, Y, and Z, whatever you got, like T'Pring and Spock's bullshit. Like, but everything's just kind of thrown in like a joke. I don't know. It's just, it feels like sincere.
See, I disagree, especially with this episode. If anything, it's a little too sincere. You're talking about it being a little over dramatized. I think they're going to take that idea of T'Pring, and they're going to make Spock this sort of like man who keeps choosing adventure and these adventures and duty, as he said. I love that line. There's a line that says, matrimony will work well with duty, or whatever, will be a great partner for duty. And she says, I am not convinced. I remain unconvinced, or something like that.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be an ongoing thing, that he's like, always away, never with her. And that's going to, press on their relationship. And that leads to amok time. I think that's a really clever thing to do. Now, whether they can, it's the prequel problem again, whether they can sustain an interesting show where we know where the relationship with T'Pring is going, and we know where Captain Pike is going, that's left to be seen,
Yeah.
We know where Uhura's going,
Yeah. Straight to a fan dance.
Do not pass go. Please don't fan dance. No, I really did like Uhura. Like, when they first cut to her, something about the angle of the shot and the way she turned her head and everything, I worked really well for me. I was like, that's Uhura. That feels like Uhura.
She was pretty damn close until the very end. And that whole, like, ending was so cringy. I was just, yeah.
Yeah, they were just trying to make her seem overly young and, like, excited to be there, which worked for me, because sure, she's Uhura, but she's way younger. So she's like a late teens Uhura. Like,
oh, I don't think late teens.
I'm just trying to think, because it's 10 years till Pike gets hurt. And that's a few years after that is when they have him on the show, correct?
It was the first season.
Well, I know, but, like, how long had it been since he'd been injured?
I don't know. I don't remember. Like, they said it was 15 years since the cage in that episode, in the menagerie.
15 years since oh, okay.
So the cage happened 15 years ago. So, I mean, yeah, it's probably about 10 years.
Okay. Yeah, he says in this 10 years from his death, which I think he means his injury.
Yeah,
which actually bothered me. He kept saying his death, and I'm like, I get it. That is a very bad injury, and being, like, locked in a chair that, like, you can't even communicate, or I mean, that's terrible. But also, that seems pretty ableist to say my death.
Yeah. And then he says, like, the death of the man that I am, or whatever. But I mean, like, all he can communicate, but it's only through the beep beep,
Yeah. Exactly.
So I don't know. Like, look, if I got a glimpse of my future and that was my future, I would be pretty devastated.
Oh, for sure.
I wouldn't be like, well, I would be devastated, but if I was, that would be pretty ableist of me.
Well, just to call it your death, though, seems a little overstated. It's overstated. It's overstated is all I'm saying.
I mean, I think, at a certain point, if you're just like unable to move and the only way you can communicate is to beep.
Right.
And you're just in constant agony.
Yeah. I don't think he says death of the man that I am. He does say death. I'm just saying.
He did.
It's overstated.
He did say the death of the man that I am now is what he said at one point. He absolutely did.
I just remember when he's talking to Spock, he says directly, like, I saw my death.
Mm-hmm. And then he says, or at least the death of the man that I am now.
Oh, I didn't hear him say that. Okay.
He absolutely did. But yeah, I did think that was interesting, but I don't know what he could do with it. Like,
I find it really interesting. I think it's going to make him reckless at times. I think it's going to make, I like all those things that he says, I think are things that he's going to go through. And I'm here for it. And I even just like him knowing that's coming and seeing the way he's choosing to live his days, like on his little farm, snow covered farm, riding a horse and, having sexual dalliances with other captains, like they clearly know that they can't be together because they're going to have to go run off to the stars. Like, that seems like exactly what you'd do if you knew you're only going to have your functioning body for another 10 years,
Yeah. I mean, a couple of captains to share a captain's log if you.
Yeah, exactly.
It's always good to share your captain's log with another captain.
Yeah.
Get their opinion.
Yeah. Ortega character was interesting. She's like just a little overly impetuous and kind of a go-getter, I guess. Like,
yeah,
I don't know, her being like his neck, like trying to get Spock and Pike to like get in and fight the fight and not hesitate. Permission to act quickly, sir.
Yeah, that was the con lady.
Oh, was that Sung or Sing?
Yeah, Noonien Sung.
Okay.
Or Noonien Singh, sorry. Noonien Singh.
I got her. That's right. Ortega is the girl who's on the bridge.
Yeah, and I didn't like her.
My bad. I didn't have any problem with her, but there wasn't much to her yet.
She had a couple of like unfunny quips, and a lot of that was just timing on her part. Just didn't care for it. Okay. Didn't care for her.
I didn't mind her. But anyway, well, hopefully.
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine.
I mean, I'm not sorry.
No, you shouldn't be sorry. If you don't like it, you don't like it. But I think I liked it a lot. I enjoyed the whole thing. Just like the whole thing. But I'm not bothered by the canon stuff, and most of the stuff that you considered heavy-handed, it really worked for me. I just thought that I loved the story of the first episode. I love the impetuous nature of Pike. I like his brashness of just standing in front of that panel of those two warring factions and just being like, I'm gonna break the General Order 1, which I like the introduction here of it being like, this is how the Prime Directive was first. This is when it got named the Prime Directive, when Pike broke it so hard.
Yeah, of course, because all the references.
Yeah. Well, we knew it had to happen at some point because they called the Prime Directive in the original series. Is that right? Or they call it General Order 1 at times. But then
both. But yeah,
where's it first called General Order 1 in Enterprise?
The original series.
Oh, it is called General Order 1 there as well?
Yeah, but it's also called the Prime Directive.
Gotcha. I like it. I see. I think that stuff's fun. Like the fact that like that makes absolute sense that if they change the name of it, around this time period, that like in the original series they would kind of go back and forth. Some people would still call it the other thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was elegant. I know you think it's all heavy-handed, but I thought they did a bunch of little elegant solutions to little canon issues that I thought is cool.
No, I don't agree with that. Nothing about this episode was elegant. It was all just like slapdash, ham-fisted, just shoddy pacing. Like, just like, oh, well, the transporters don't do that. We'll figure out a way.
Yeah, no, I thought that was stupid.
We'll never find out how. And did he just beam the vial into his body?
Apparently, which I thought that was dumb.
Totally, that was super stupid.
Totally with you on that. That's not what transporters do. Just make it happen. It's like, this isn't a medical device. No, I'm with you on that one. That one was dumb.
And, since when do we transport clothes in the transport? Whatever.
When did they start doing that? They started doing that at some point on Trek. It was on Discovery in the 29th, like in the distant future.
I mean, that's fine. So they do it in the 32nd century. We've never seen it in the 23rd, Agreed. 22nd, 23rd, 24th, or 25th. Well, whatever. That's fine. We'll just keep...
I agree. Yeah.
Doing shit.
There was no need to... They've always gotten dressed on the ship before they took off. There was no need to do the transporter clothes thing. That does seem needlessly...
That's my point.
No. Dude, like I said, it's not perfect. And some of the canon things don't bother me, but that doesn't mean I don't acknowledge them that they're there. But that one's pretty stupid. I agree.
Yeah. I mean, it felt rushed and weird. Like, they spent so much time, which I like that they spent so much time on the character work with Pike.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent a fair amount of time with Noonien Singh, and they spent a fair amount of time with Spock.
Yeah.
That was good, but also it meant that they didn't spend very much time at all on this quote-unquote strange new world.
Right.
I'm confused about how, like, Starfleet would send a ship with only 3 officers, led by a freaking, like... What was she, a lieutenant commander?
I don't know.
Number one? Yeah. They send like 4 officers on a first contact mission?
Yeah. What? Yeah. I mean, I don't know what the normal rules are on a first contact mission, or like a survey of a first contact mission or whatever like that. I don't know. I know we've seen them in the past be much more large ships, but I also don't know the size of the world or the whatever.
It seems like they would have more than 4 people on the Archer.
Yeah, agreed.
Just saying.
I thought it was weird that there was only 4 people on the Archer. I agree with that completely. I was like, it seems weird that the Archer is such a small ship. Yeah. Also, I guess they're on a shuttle called the Stamets.
Yeah.
That didn't bother me. I understand you're like, just like another reference. But like, I guess I don't mind the references.
Here's the thing. Like, traditionally, I say, I am a fan. Service me. However, I have begun to notice a troubling thing with the live action Star Treks. The more references, the worse the episode.
Yeah,
it's like
don't agree.
They're like, oh shit, no, well, this doesn't make sense. Like, warp bomb, the hell is a warp bomb? I don't know. Call that shuttle the Stamets. Make them happy.
Yeah, I don't agree.
It's just
the idea of a warp bomb, like, I agree they didn't do a good job explaining it, but it makes sense that just like they explained it like they do anything else, like the nuclear bomb could have been invented.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, dubious transporter bullshit that we never explained. I don't know. Call that ship the Archer. That'll make them happy. Put them in a good mood. Maybe they won't notice.
Yeah, I don't think that corollary is true, but I agree with you. There's some dumb things. The transporter bullshit is pretty silly. And the both transporter bullshits are pretty silly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well.
Yeah, indeed.
I'm just gonna keep bitching. We might as well just stand it.
Yeah. We need to get off here anyway because I got a lot to do today. I gotta go see Doctor Strange in a few hours. Woo!
Mm-hmm.
Very excited. Well, hopefully we'll like Picard a little better this week. Hopefully you'll enjoy it.
I have no hope.
I have a little hope. I haven't liked a few other episodes this season, but I'm hopeful that they had a good plan for the ending. The thing that bothers me though is I feel like the ending is going to be all about what's going on with Q, and like I feel like we just haven't seen much of Q this season. Like, as much as this was supposed to be about Q.
He's going to be in season 3, so.
Oh, is he? I didn't know that.
Yeah. I think they'll focus on Jurati and probably Elnor because.
Oh, you think?
They're not coming back.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. They said that they're not coming back for season 3.
Oh, interesting. I'm not surprised that Jurati's not coming back, but I didn't think we'd see her again this season after how last episode ended.
Really?
Yeah. I thought last episode, the whole idea was that she was leaving to head to Borg space or whatever.
She's got to show up on the bridge of the Stargazer.
That's true. That's true.
Because there's no way she's not that Borg queen.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree there. I think that's true, but I don't think she'll show up again in the past. But I think most of this episode is going to happen in the past. But we'll see. I'll probably watch it today before I go see the movie.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool. Well, man.
Well,
I hope you have a good day.
Maybe I will.
Hope you get some sleep.
Maybe I will.
I'm gonna go prep for this movie. Woo!
All right, man.
I'll talk to you soon. Or yeah, I should say by the podcast first.
Yeah. Joel on true and live long and prosper.
Thanks for joining us here on the Trek Cast. We'll be back soon.
The Joel Trek Cast.
Whatever this is.
Live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.